All right, everybody, welcome to Theory Underground Health and Fitness Club, aka the Swoletariat. Swol, how's it going, man?
It's going good. Had a good sleep today, so so I'm feeling good.
That's wonderful. How do you want to do this?
Well, we can either start with just kind of a recap of what you guys have done in the past week, fitness-wise, health-wise, nutrition-wise. Talk and chat about that. Or we can start with the assessments I had you guys go through and chat about those. I
think we should talk about the assessments briefly, about what that's going to entail, so that people who are watching the beginning know that that's what we will be getting into after we've done our sort of weekly check-in. And then, so why don't you tell everybody what you had us do?
Yeah. Okay. So in my practice in my gym in personal training, I've been tinkering and playing with adding in some, quote, life coaching aspects, so that I could better understand my clients, what drives them, what are they doing this for, and what are the potential barriers and things to look out for when I'm dealing with a new person. And so two of the assessments that I've been playing with are the grit score, the grit test, and the positive intelligence saboteurs test. And the grit test, and I've had these guys do it here, Dave, Ann, and Nance, and I've done them myself. The grit test will measure one's capacity, to withstand discomfort, push through challenges, mentally, physically, emotionally. If you give a person something hard and they don't get it at first, will they see it through, or will they just give up? And that can be an important for a trainer to decide how you're going to go about training somebody with a very high grit score versus a very low grit score. So that is a practical purpose there. And then the second one is the positive intelligence saboteurs test. So this is a test from an official online life coaching program that's popular in the life coaching world. And what it's going to determine is what your, quote, saboteurs are. So these are 10 different archetypes of different ways that people, or in my case, clients, will self-sabotage by using certain kind of coping mechanisms or just tools. Maybe it might be one favorite tool that somebody uses over and over again in life, might be several that they switch between. But these tools are generally seen by the person as positives. They see only the kind of positive aspects of this particular coping mechanism because it might get them something. It might help them in some way. But this test and this program helps people understand that these saboteur archetypes actually, in the end, can end up holding them back and causing more damage to themselves and to their relationships than they might otherwise understand.
Excellent. Cool. Well, we were looking forward to getting into it with you. These things are always a lot of fun, especially with people who are into theory and problematizing shit.
And then we can critique them after too, because
right.
They definitely do there's some funny stuff in there. And if you actually dove into the life coaching course even more, there's even more cringy stuff about it. But this particular bit I did find, while theoretically a little imperfect, did have some positive kind of practical applications.
Yeah, Nance was just talking before you got here about how he appreciates that. Is that right, Nance? You were saying something about how you appreciate that about.
Yeah, I think like it's a good appetizer, but it's not a main course. And if you treat it like a main course, then that's where you go wrong. And I think a lot of people do. But I think it's a great appetizer.
Sick. With that, let's do our check-ins. Who would like to go first?
I go first. Put my microphone up. So yeah, kind of trying to focus on just getting protein and eating, and that's been, with work and everything, it's been more or less okay. I contacted the Boise State Gym, so this weekend I'll be actually going to sign up and start my workout, so that's good, and actually get into a routine before that gym is closed for the holidays for a couple weeks, but I'll figure something out in those weeks between. And Dave and I went to jujitsu last night, and that was awesome. Been doing a little bit more running. Yeah, this week was just busy because I was like camping out in the line for over 24 hours for a concert to get in the front row. So I was kind of just stuck in one place. But that was fun. And yeah, that's kind of the update here.
So I have a question about, have you found better ways or reliable ways to get more protein in? As a vegan?
My tempeh, I just like tempeh in the morning. I'll just cut it into some slices and eat like sometimes quarter to a half a block. And then like I just accidentally cooked way too many lentils last week for a Thanksgiving recipe. I needed 2 cups cooked and I cooked 2 cups dry. And so now I have so many lentils. So I've been eating a lot, putting lentils into a lot of things. And that has been my main source is the last week, but like just kind of relying on tempeh when I know that what I'm eating like for breakfast doesn't have enough protein. And I have some protein powder that I also need to, I think, start incorporating into whether it's like a daily smoothie or making some of my own protein bars. Oh, and protein bars. That's another thing. I bought a pack, and then that's another one when I'm like, I haven't had any protein yet today. I make sure I eat one of those. So
Nice. One suggestion, I don't know what your guys' budget is like, but Liz, my girlfriend, started these food delivery services called in Canada it's HelloFresh. I don't know if you have that down there, but it's cheaper if you get the vegan ones. And so she's been ordering them. They give you exactly the right amount of food for a meal, and then they give you the instructions how to do it. Anyway, you cook it up at night. It arrives once a week, and you get your meals for the week. And like her meal last night was 40 grams of protein, and it was purely vegan. So it's not bad.
yeah, I thought we've had a couple people recommend some various meal services. I think I'm so resistant to them because of how wasteful they are, and I'm pretty proud of my ability to like go to the grocery store and avoid plastic packaging for the most part. And so that's like the one thing that's really holding me back from those. Like, yeah, I like to cook, but as I get more into my work week flow, I'm realizing, I don't have as much time and energy as I thought I would, but it's like the waste that comes out of those. I'm so resistant. So that's Dave, we can talk about that, but that's my one, like, I don't know.
Yep. All right, who's next?
I've been stuck in bitch mode still. Like I can't figure out how to eat. Like I've been trying to eat toast with peanut butter in the mornings, which is like stupid and simple, but I don't know. I can't do it. Can't figure out how to eat right. Can't figure out how to sleep right. I'm definitely kind of creating issues for myself for whatever reason. Which I'll figure it out. And ultimately it does boil down to bitch mode. Like I'm turning these simple things into like big issues. And yeah, at the end of the day, like that's on me. And as far as working out, like I've been doing, I do a lot of calisthenics. I'm not. I went to the gym once and it was like the Zumba, Taibo, like that kind of gym. So that threw me off. So I need to find a good weightlifting gym, which I don't know because I'm not that guy. So it's kind of like a process of discovery. True. Yeah, eating and sleeping are just struggles.
So first of all, I have my life coach, actually, the guy who introduced me to he's my massage therapist as well, but the guy who introduced me to the saboteurs test and that life coaching program, he is big into calisthenics himself, and he's primary, like he loves calisthenics, but he also does weightlifting. So I have him doing, squats and deadlifts and presses and stuff too. But his main thing is calisthenics. Nothing wrong with that. Calisthenics are good for you. So he actually just shared with me his there's a specific calisthenics like progression program. And it's like these cards, these bunch of infographics that laid out like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And it's like, it goes week by week, tells you what to do and how to progress specifically. Like, you're doing X amount of push-ups today, and then, X amount of push-ups the next week. And it goes through like, I don't know, a whole bunch of different exercises. So you're getting the whole body covered. I could send that to you because calisthenics are something, I mean, it does help to be in a gym, but I think most of the exercises you can do almost anywhere. Some of them you definitely would need a bit of gym equipment, but yeah, most of them are you can do most places.
He didn't go because he wanted to go to calisthenics. He didn't know that that's what the gym was for. That's the issue.
No, I do like I push-ups and burpees and pull-ups and sit-ups and crunches and scissor kicks and like all that shit. Like I do enjoy doing that shit. And it is way easier because I can do it on my own. And yeah, like that aspect is appealing to me, but also like I don't want to just take that route. Like I do want to get in the gym and lift heavy shit. Like I want to do that as well. So yeah, that'd be dope. Like having a program, because for me it's mostly push-ups, burpees, crunches, like shit I did in the army and in jail. Yeah. So having like professional shit would be dope too.
Yeah. Okay. So afterwards, I can send you that progression, and but yes, definitely still try to get into a barbell gym, practice the main lifts too, to really push some weight and get excited about getting strong. And then I think the other thing, more important, I feel like sleep is probably the number one thing that you should focus on. And so do you find is it just that you're going to bed too late? You're just kind of allowing yourself to keep going and going and going until it's 3 a.m. or something, and then you're in bed? Or is it you're getting to sleep and you can't stay asleep?
Can't stay asleep. Like I'm up between like 2 and 4 every morning, and I'm in bed usually by 10, usually no later than like 10:30, 11. And I'm usually up between 2 and 4. And that's it. And it's like, dude, this sucks.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
So your sleep hygiene is actually pretty good. It's just that you're woken up at 2 or 3 a.m. and you can't get back. Yeah, that's a tough one. Maybe like journaling or doing something to lower your body temperature, so you can signal to your body that it's sleep time. There's this whole like field of research on talking about how humans, like the most natural pattern of sleep for humans is to sleep for 4 hours, get up for an hour, and then go back to sleep for 4 hours, which isn't entirely true, but that did exist in some point in time in some places in history where people were doing that. I don't think that's a universal thing, but there's probably some people that are just more prone to that than others. But there's definitely ways, finding ways to lower your body temperature, whether that's a cold shower or a cold room, and maybe journaling or something, get thoughts out of your head. Those would be my. Oh, and maybe chamomile tea. Chamomile tea, actually, that would do it. That would help. Chamomile tea with collagen powder.
Tight.
Would those be similar things to help, like with a light sleeper? Because I calling you out, Dave, because you do wake up so easily, and you wake up a lot in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And it's like I sleep like a rock pretty much. Dave wakes up at 3 a.m, and I don't think I've ever woken up to the alarm. But you were just like, I try so hard. Even I walk into the room and like put on my clothes, and you're like, hi. And so I want you to also get good sleep. So I'm wondering, if that's the same thing, that like a light sleeper, if there's a way to fix light sleeping, or if that's just something about someone.
Don't let a light sleeper eat or drink anything for like the 3 hours before bedtime or more. Because that's just going to...
Fuck you! No!
I bet you if you tried that for like a week, I bet you would find you're just like, you get better sleep. You sleep deeper. Less disturbed, less getting up to pee. How late do you normally eat?
Oh, is it my turn? So, yeah, I guess Anne's just set me up to go. So, yeah, I often eat before. I mean, I actually, Anne, what would you say? Like, what is the norm for me eating before bed? I don't pay attention to these things.
Yeah, we just, with the way life goes, we tend to eat dinner pretty late, and I think I try to eat. I always eat a little bit before Dave, and Dave's not always hungry. And since you're usually in bed before me, it's anywhere from like an hour. Sometimes it's like even 30 minutes before you're kind of winding down, like 30 minutes to like a couple hours before bed. Eating either a big meal or a snack or something.
Yeah, that's it right there. We found the problem.
Yeah, but if I don't eat before bed, I can't go to sleep, and I stay up for hours, and it's like insomnia.
Are you eating a big meal, or what kind of meals are you eating?
Fucking, I don't know, just whatever I want.
Here's what you do. Eat rice cakes. Eat 1 or 2 rice cakes, maybe a little bit of jam. Simple, easy carbs, won't fill you up. And that'll satisfy your hunger and your carb cravings. And that should put you to bed.
Oh my God. All right. Well, you know, I was feeling really good about this. I was going to come in here with all this fucking swagger and be like, all right, so on Thanksgiving goddamn day, I got up and I went to the fucking gym after breakfast. I felt full of shit, and I was like, I'm gonna turn some of this in the snow. I'm gonna turn some of this sausage into fucking muscle. And so, yeah, because it was like omelets or whatever at my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law made some omelets, and yeah, so there's an Anytime Fitness there in Twin Falls. I went, and I love Anytime Fitness, man. They've got enough of the cages that I've never had to wait. I fucking hate a gym where I have to wait for I just like, get the fuck out of my way. Cause I'm in and I'm out already. I've got it down pretty good. So let's see, when was that? Was that Thursday the 23rd? Yeah. So yeah, I worked out on the 23rd, worked out on the 26th, which was Sunday, which was like what, 3 days later. And then, okay, I'm saying worked out, but I mean, I trained. And then I trained on the 29th, which was Wednesday. And the problem with these is that they're all 3 days apart. I'm trying to go every other day, for a week, and then take 2 days off and then go every other day. But you know, this is better than I've ever been, in terms of like, what was the day? Oh, last time we did this, when we did this call. I was like, yeah, I missed it today. It's too late now. And then like 3 hours later, I was like, I could go right now. And I went and got in the car and I went and actually did it. So same thing happened yesterday. We were done with jujitsu. We were doing our laundry at the laundromat. And like on the way there, I was like, man, I could go do I could go do some training right now. And so I did. I went and got one in last night. And so I'm finding out like ways of just kind of like inserting it into my day. And it helps that it really doesn't take much more than a half hour. Especially if I've already been pretty active. So I don't really have to do much of a like a warm up, and I can do like the warm down, like kind of on my way, like at work, I can do a warm up or a warm down, so like, I don't have to do it there. So I've been feeling basically good about that side of things. The diet side is not something that I've really put much thought or work into. Outside of that, what I think that pretty much cut. Well, yeah, I really like jujitsu. I just want to say that. I'm really glad we went again. But I think, yeah, if I have anything to work on, I think the one thing I'll probably focus on is like snack before bed instead of like meal, like Swol's saying. And I've just been eating like a fig bar for breakfast for like the last several days. I just have a fig bar and then go do stuff because like those are really like calorie heavy, I could probably dip it in peanut butter to get some, additional protein on it, but that wasn't like a plan. I got them because they looked good, like a snack at the grocery outlet where they were cheap. But then just in a hurry, I'm like, oh, I'll just grab one of those. So, yeah.
Yeah, breakfast. I'd say make sure there's some decent amount of carbs in there. So whether it's rice cakes, even a piece of toast, not the greatest, but that's fine. And
this morning you had oats and I made you an egg. And
oh, that's great.
Oh, this was really good this morning. Yeah, that's great. Here's one way that my eating has been better though. I keep buying broccoli. In fact, I was at Winco last week and I was gonna buy a couple donuts. And then I was like, nah, bitch. And then I walked over and I got a couple clumps of broccoli and brought them home. And Anna was like, well, we already have a head. And I was like, we're going to eat more. And then it was good because the other head actually went bad. And so, Anne put that in the air fryer a couple days ago. And what did I eat with that? And it was excellent, whatever it was.
Just had some chicken from the freezer.
Yeah, just chicken and broccoli. Which is also like David Lynch's, dinner that he ate for like 20 years. Just every night he would just have some broccoli and chicken. He'd have like a little pack of chicken and broccoli like ready to go in the freezer, and then he would just warm it up, and then that's what he would eat. So
nice. Yeah, to that. So how and you've been going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week?
Yeah.
What do you got your squat up to now?
Let's double check. So, last night 145 on the squat. Compared to when I started, I was at, where is the squat from when I started? 120. Yeah, so I've gone from 120 to 145.
So you're up. That's good. So you're already at over a plate on each side on your squat. Badass. So yeah, the eating side of it, for the first month, maybe a little more, you won't. You could almost eat anything or lack of anything, and you'll still see the gains just because your muscles are just adapting and using the fuel you have. to get to kind of just a very baseline strength. But yeah, soon you'll get to a point where that food will start mattering more, and the amount of carbs stored as glycogen in your muscles for energy will become necessary for you to actually push through those hard sets and create more growth. And the protein will start becoming important too. Like once, those heavy sets get very taxing, and you need that protein to rebuild the muscle that you just broke down. So yeah, you won't notice a big, just if you're not eating perfect right away, it won't be a big deal, but it will eventually. So yeah, just kind of keep on trucking and start, adding more, finding more ways to add protein in, and making sure you're fueled enough with carbs for those workouts to perform.
Something that I have done in the last couple of weeks, like 2 weeks ago or 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago, I made like a crock pot of, like, basically what I did was I took a beef roast, like a big fucking beef roast. I forget exactly what they call the cut, but it wasn't just a chuck steak or whatever, and it was a big boy. And I just threw it into the crock pot, and I added some salt and pepper, and I just let it go all day. And then I took it out, and then I cut it down into pieces. Or maybe I cut the pieces first. No, wait. Maybe I cut the pieces first, whatever. And then I added a bunch of asada mix, like just kind of my homemade asada mix. And then I added a couple heads of broccoli towards the end. And so it was basically just like beef broccoli with some like Mexican taste. And I ate that on tacos. I ate that in bowls. I just started injecting it into everything. Like Anne would make food, and then I'd be like, "This is amazing, thank you." And then I just inject my mix into it. So I did that. I also did a shoulder roast of pork shoulder roast, and made that into pulled pork. So I mean, it's kind of like it's more of like a food. It's like on the one side it's food prepping, on the other side it's injecting more protein into my week.
Nice. Two birds stoned at once.
And it was good. It's third bird. Oh, third bird.
Hey.
Same stone. Yeah.
3 birds stoned at once.
Yeah. 3 stoned birds. That's the name. That's the name of it.
Good.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the life coaching?
Yeah, man.
All right. So have you all posted? I see some. All right. I see some posted. Let's start with the grit score. That's a quick one. Do you guys have your grit scores here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we all shared it, and Caesar even shared his, except that he didn't share it as a screenshot.
Okay. So I see. Do we want to share them in the stream so people can see?
Yeah, so we should all just... Well, actually, so what I can do is just... Everyone can look at it in the chat, and I will make sure that the people watching this in the future can see it. It'll be easier than screen sharing.
All right, let's do that then. So starting out looking at Nance's grit score. So 3.5. So that's good. That's a good grit score. I think mine was like 3.7 or when I did it. That just means you are somebody who can be pushed, who's fine with little discomfort. So I wouldn't be worried about giving Nance like a fairly tough program where I know he's going to have to grind, day after day. And really, that's all that tells me. I mean, the main thing with the grit score is if someone comes back to me with a grit score, they say, "Hey, I want to be a professional powerlifter or something," and their grit score is like 1, then I would be like, okay, that's nice. Find another trainer. because it wouldn't work, right? This will be someone who can't realistically be relied on to actually do what's needed. So good grit score for Nance. And the next one is Anne, 2.8. So you're kind of right in the middle. You're a little bit above average. So in this case, yeah, Anne would definitely be trainable, but maybe I wouldn't like train her like I would train some like an intense athlete or something, a competitive athlete. I would train her still, and she'd be able to push herself, but it wouldn't be like the most intense, like difficult thing in the world. Like there'd be more breaks, there'd be a little bit more room for complaining or not completing certain exercises, but or we'd have to like maybe just do more things that like she liked. She might hate some exercises and might like some, and we just work with what works instead of me just like dictating like a dictator. You're going to do this, and even if you hate it, you're going to keep going.
I got the exact same score as Anne on my grit score.
Oh yeah, I see that. Okay, so same thing. It's just I wouldn't train you guys for something super competitive mainly, but you would be able to do a pretty solid fitness or train to train regimen reliably, but yeah, maybe not on just that high end. Whereas Nance is like going out and skateboarding, sunshine or rain, and doing his thing, pushing through no matter what.
I did do a run in the rain last week. That was fucking hardcore, and I was excited about it. I was thinking about this motivational jackass that Nance is a big fan of, named Goggins, who's always like, he's like, don't be a bitch, fucking run in the rain. He's like, when you run and it's not raining, you should be cursing the sun, saying, fuck, this isn't discomforting enough, like that kind of guy. And he's like running, and I was like, hell yeah. And I did it. I like GoPro'd myself running in the rain just to be like, I'm doing it. Yo, what's up, everybody? So it's kind of raining outside, and that's the point. I'm about to go on a run, and I just thought I'd take you all with me as a reminder that running is not about comfort, it's about discomfort. It's about embracing discomfort. Most of the time, people who are watching my channel embrace mental discomfort and lean into vexing questions that most people can't handle without getting so triggered that they have complete meltdowns and spend the rest of their lives in epistemic infirmaries known as churches. So join me in actually challenging your physical body, or at least mine, and hopefully it'll inspire you to but that was the only time I fucking ran. And so I mean, I think I did one other time, but anyway, like I'm really bad about running right now. That's one of the things I want to work on. And Mary challenged me and Anne to, whatever. She challenged us. We didn't really come through on the challenge. Anne, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, she was challenging herself to run 7 days in a row. First day 1 mile, then 2, 3, 4, so on. So she said, you guys, you should do it with me. Just 3 days, 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. And it was like right over Thanksgiving. And I just like totally forgot running clothes and the shoes. And I was like, okay, I'll do it the next day. And it's always just like, oh, it didn't happen today. I didn't start it today. Next day. Like I ran my 1 mile the other day, but then we had something going on the next day all day until I had to work and like couldn't fit it in. And so yeah, it's like, oh, Timenergy, I work, but then also you can only make excuses up to a certain point, and then it's just like you gotta actually get it into your schedule. And her entire identity and lifestyle right now is being super duper active, and like she just ran a marathon, and so it's a lot easier for her. And I think because we're just not in the flow yet, it's really easy to not do it. And so that's been the struggle, is just like actually doing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, a score around a 2 or a 3, it's like, yeah, you're somebody who can take discomfort. You can push yourself, but you don't live for it, right? It's not like part of your essence. You have to just push yourself as hard as you can all the time. A 4 or a 5 would be somebody who just lives and dies for being uncomfortable and pushing themselves to the max. But luckily, you're in a more of that like sane middle ground range where you can do it. It's not like the only thing you want to do. All right. So since you're all trainable, that's good. So let's go to our saboteurs test. We'll start with Nance because this is up top. Take a look here. Okay, so we got a lot of mid-range scores here. So controller was your number 1. Ooh. Restless, number 2. Stickler, number 3. And then a bunch of tied for number 3. You got stickler, hypervigilant, hyper-rational, and avoider. So looking at like at least your top 2, Nance, and I don't know if you read the descriptions that it came with. Did any of that relate to you at all?
Yeah, I think kind of in a yeah, definitely like I was going to say in a superficial way, but no, it's not just a superficial way. Like I go in my little, I'm on the spectrum hole. If shit isn't exactly the way I want it to be, then it does bother me. And restlessness, I don't know. I think that's probably something I just bracket out because I know it's a problem. And so I just choose to ignore it.
Right. So you find you kind of always are keeping yourself busy. You're not really letting yourself, I don't know, just veg out and do nothing. You always feel like you have to be doing something.
Well, yeah, it's either all or nothing. So it's either if I have something going on, then it's never just one thing going on. And if I don't commit to something 100%, then I just don't do it at all. So I have multiple avenues of action. And if I feel like I'm not giving it 100%, or I can't for some reason give it 100%, then it's like, fuck it, I'll move on to something else.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And all right. So I'll briefly just talk about the kind of main descriptors of these. So the controller, it's an anxiety-based need to take charge and control of situations and people's actions to one's own will. It's related to high anxiety and impatience when that's not possible. The impact on the self is that the controller does get temporary results, but at the cost of others feeling controlled and resentful and not able to tap into their own greater reserves. Controller also generates a great deal of anxiety, as many things in work and life are ultimately not controllable. Does that sound?
Yeah, dude. Anxiety is definitely something I've had some issues with in the past, for sure.
So that sounds relatable?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then hold on. I wanted to get to the part where it talks about the lie. Controller. Where is it? Stickler. Restless. Pleaser. That's strange. It seems to. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. Justification lies. Yeah. So without the controller, you can't get much done. You need to push people. If I don't control, I will be controlled, and I can't live with that. I am trying to get the job done for all our sakes. Yeah. So then the areas of growth for coaching, like if I were your hired coach, we would work on understanding that you might gain short-term control, but lose long-term influence. Learn that the way you feel connected through challenge and debate is not the way other types feel connected. Discovering that intimacy requires vulnerability, and to reframe vulnerability as a strength, not weakness. Reframe vulnerability as helpful to survival rather than dangerous to survival. So like if controller was your main thing, then that's the kind of stuff we'd work on. And I should say that for all of these, the answer that they give in this whole system is not the answer, but like a big part of it is these mindfulness exercises. So basically, let's say, Nance, you're in a situation that's anxiety inducing and you feel this desire to control. Then what you would do is just you'd practice noticing this feeling coming up, and then you would kind of take yourself out of the situation and do mindfulness or meditation exercises to just notice your thoughts, let focus on other things, touch, smell, hearing, whatever it is, center yourself, that kind of stuff, and then kind of let it pass. Or at least be able to look at it in to reevaluate the situation in a more kind of clear-headed way, right? So it may be the case that the situation does require some controlling. That might be true, but you can't actually know that or be able to decipher that in the state of like heightened anxiety and heightened stress. So the point is to do these mindfulness exercises. Just doing what they call PQ reps, positive intelligence reps, is just taking literally a minute or two or more to center yourself.
Yeah, man, I'm here for it. Like I used to do CBT with troubled kids, and we had this thing called positive skill development, and it was like you run through steps. And the first thing is noticing what's happening with your body and coming up with hypotheses as to why your body might be reacting this way. And then kind of developing some more productive thoughts and coming into a better relation with what's causing your discomfort, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like definitely here for it. And I've run through, I guess exercises like that, like all the time, like where I kind of just get myself in check. It's like, oh no, calm down. Like it's not the end of the world. Cause I definitely do. I can tend to catastrophize if I don't check myself.
Yeah. And we can talk about like the limits of this stuff too, right? Like how none of this stuff is really getting at the unconscious level. It's all kind of ego psychology. And it's, we're not actually digging into or trying to resolve inner drives and desires and looking at what's under the hood. But we can talk about that later. Again, this is all trying to get you to fit better into society with others, to function well, and which is helpful. I mean, that's not nothing. That's something. Okay, so next, did you have any other thoughts on your results or?
So I don't know about thoughts on the results, but just on these assessments, all my answers are between a 2 and a 4. Like I don't ever strongly agree or ever strongly disagree, and I don't know why I do that. I think that's probably just my inner asshole coming out and be like, well, I'm gonna, I don't know. So maybe I would probably skew a little higher if I were being more genuine. Maybe, I don't know.
So yeah, that's a good question. If you look at what the results say, do you think any of these look different than what you think they should say? Like, should one of these be higher or lower than what you see here, if you were to honestly assess it?
I would assume that anxiety would be my highest problem area. So as far as like where everything is, I think it tracks. Maybe they could be a little higher, or maybe they could be a little lower. I don't know. I don't think I'm a good judge of that. But yeah, it definitely does track. I think anxiety is the big core.
You did bring up a good point though, about like the tests like this do not account for people who might be predisposed to not want to answer a 1 or a 5 on either of these things, right? So you're never going to get a kind of across the board accurate assessment on any of these. But anyway, all right, let's move on to Anne. All right, Anne, you got some big numbers there. Big honesty here in some of these. I see stickler, avoider, and pleaser, all just big booming 8.1s and 7.5s. Now, when you looked at these results, were you like, oh yeah, that's me? Or did you read any descriptions? And
the stickler, like absolutely. I see it in most areas of my life, especially like at work. And I'm just constantly like, these people are doing this all wrong and they should do it my way and blah, blah, blah. But then the kind of overly self-critical part is like just wrecks me. And I tend to have like I get overwhelmed when there's too many things to do, because it is very much a like, if I can't do it perfectly right now, then there's no point in doing it. And it's just like currently we've got piles of laundry to put away, dishes to wash, like the house is not where I want it to be at. And rather than, okay, take it day by day, like I'm just constantly disappointed in myself for not getting everything done all the time. Like it's constant. Like I need a therapist, kind of like I've just have felt disappointed in myself pretty much every day, like this entire year, for like, oh, I didn't do enough. But then also, yeah, like this perfectionism and well, it has to be done perfect, it has to be done the right way, or there's no point. But then the avoider and the pleaser also like feel very strong. So on the one hand, I'm like hyper perfectionist, but then on the other hand, I'm overly flexible and conflict or confrontation avoidant for the most part. I think I've improved on that in the last year. But yeah, those top 3, like reading the descriptions, I said, yeah, that's me for the most part, or the things that I struggle with the most. It's not me, but those are my biggest struggles as of this last year, especially.
okay, so those in particular, like perfectionism, that's highly correlated. So I'm reading Gabor Mate's book, and Gabor Mate's the guy that was critiqued by Andrew in his essay. Anyway, one of the things he notes is personality types are highly correlated with like cancer rates, right? And so high stress personality types, like perfectionism in particular, is like for some reason gives you a way higher chance of developing cancer or other diseases later in life. So that's one of that's something you want to try to like really kind of take note of and let go, right?
Yeah,
like
and the thing is, I won't let myself get stressed, and maybe I do, and maybe the stress isn't mental. Like I think the last year my stress has manifested pretty physically and externally, but I feel like in comparison to like when I think back to like my school days, I was the least stressed person there, at least like externally, and maybe that is part of the pleaser and flexible and oh, it's fine, but then I'm like taking it all out on myself internally, and then just feeling so disappointed, and then it's like, well, guess I'll just lie on the couch and do nothing then.
Yeah. So I think pleaser and goes hand in hand actually with can go hand in hand with stickler, and also hyperachiever, which is your fourth big one. So if I were to read out here we go, the justification lies here for the stickler. So, quote, this is a personal obligation to be a stickler. It is up to me to fix whatever mess I encounter. Perfectionism is good, plus it makes me feel better about myself. There's usually a clear right and clear wrong way to do things. I know how things should be done, and they must be done right. And of course, the impact on others and the self is that it causes rigidity, reduces flexibility in dealing with change and others' different styles. It's a source of ongoing anxiety and frustration, causes resentment, anxiety, self-doubt, and resignation in others who feel continually criticized and resign themselves that no matter how hard they work, they will never please the stickler. Now, I don't know if Dave relates to that at all, dealing with a stickler, but I am also dating a stickler. And I actually, we just talked about, because I'm in psychoanalysis, we just talked about some of my dreams, and we just figured out that one of my dreams was about a fear of not doing things the right way, and Liz being mad at me because in this particular dream I couldn't find my nice shoes, and we were going on a date, and it was going to be ruined if I didn't have the nice shoes. And I think the day before she had asked me if like I had a good outfit so that we could go talk to her priest or whatever, because we had a meeting with him. So you know, so this causes unconscious and conscious fear in others that they're not going to meet your standards. At least that's definitely like a ongoing theme with me and Liz's sticklerism. Okay, so yeah, if we had time, we would talk more about the other two big ones you had, but let's move on to Dave.
All right, I've got it up here.
All right, so whoa, Dave had some real high numbers. Okay, so hyperachiever and controller, also a bit of avoider in there too, are high. So Dave, when you looked at these results, did you think, oh yeah, that tracks, or this doesn't relate to me at all?
I fucking hate these kinds of tests because I am extremely different in different contexts. So like, okay, let's think about this controller word. I am a controller when it comes down to my time energy, when my time energy, like project, we're talking projects like for theory and philosophy and the shit I'm doing at Theory Underground, and fuck academia for getting in my way for, you know, of the actual research that I want to do. So yeah, controller. They underestimate. I should be a 10 on that. But at work at Amazon, I don't give a flying fuck. I am the most easy peasy, you know, lemon breezy kind of guy. I'm just like doing my thing. I think I keep a good steady pace. If the manager comes over and says, hey, I need you to go over there and do this, I go, cool, man. And then I go do that. And then they come and they say, hey, actually go do this. And this happens frequently. They have me walk all the way across the warehouse to do one thing. And then I'm like, all right, cool. This is what I'll be doing for a couple hours. And then like by the time I get there, like half hour later, just as I'm getting in the groove, they come and they're like, actually, we need you back on this. And then I walk over there and I take my sweet time. I go to the lunchroom, I get all my shit, I carry it to the other side of the warehouse, I set it up in the other lunchroom. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, we need you back on the other side. So I go and I get all my shit. I don't give a fuck. So it's like, am I a controller there? No. Am I a controller at other people's parties? No. Am I a controller at other people's events? No. I'm just super anal when it comes to my own things that are like my projects or whatever, you know, and that's why it's like, yeah, this is my fiefdom. I'm a dictator, Dave, in this domain, but like, take me out of this context. No, I'm not a fucking controller. So
that's a good point, actually, because the first time I was reintroduced to some of these tests, I remember just getting like very angry and frustrated because I was looking at the questions they were asking. I'm like, well, just like in what context? Like thinking like, you know, I was thinking, you know, as a Trotskyist, you know, if I were given the freedom to be doing what I want, these things wouldn't apply. Like I have to, like I was thinking like some of these things I feel like I have to do only because of the situation I'm in capitalist society. And so that kind of pissed me off, but you know, and this test obviously has that problem too. But it either way, it does show you things that you may or may not be actually aware of. Because if you are aware of them already, and where they might be roadblocks to your success, then whatever, that's fine. But for a lot of people, they are not aware that that what their what their saboteurs are, and B, how they might actually be inhibiting them.
There's also a big difference between being a control freak in the parameters of a space as opposed to what a person does playing within those parameters. I'm a control freak about the parameters and norms to a certain extent, but I really like to let, I'm very loosey-goosey. Once it's known, once people kind of understand what's going on in a space, because the internet, everyone treats all spaces like they're the same. But as soon as people get what this space is about, well, then do what you will. I don't give a fuck. But as long as you get it, right? But if you come in and you try to treat it like something else, it's okay, get the fuck out of here. And so, but it's am I super controlling of lectures with co-instructors? Have I really been controlling of how co-instructors teach courses at Theory Underground? I would say absolutely not. The only disagreements that I had were probably with Michael Downs and Cadell Last, and those were extremely minor and kind of came down to, we didn't have expectations set right about the actual parameters of the space, and now there's miscommunication for the students involved, and now the students are kind of feeling angsty or upset or put off by this lack of communication. Now we got to figure that out, and we got to be more clear about that. But once that's figured out, then it's cool. I don't give a shit, and you can do what you want as an instructor. And I think that's that kind of leadership is not taken into account in these things. That's a big difference. Am I controlling the situation in a way that allows the people involved to kind of have autonomy, right? Because ultimately that's what that's about. I am trying to control the situation in a way that maximizes everyone else's autonomy, while still allowing us to get out of it what we're here for,
Okay, so let's just take the hyperachiever aspect for it. Let's say if you, for whatever reason, if Theory Underground blew up and you never had access to another theory book ever in your life, do you think you would still have some drive within you to achieve, but in another way, in another area?
Yeah, and that actually goes with my controllingness. I think is I have plan B, plan C, plan D. Right now, if Theory Underground fell apart and I had no more interest, actually, I've kind of got I've got plans in case I had to go bankrupt, and I've also got plans in case I just get bored, or it stops being satisfying, or I stop caring about theory. I even entertain what if I just flipped on a dime, realized God is real, and I'm religious now. I'm not gonna fucking say that my future self isn't religious. He quite possibly could be, and so I don't over determine my future self. And so it's what would I be then? Well, I'd be a great father. And I know exactly what kinds of careers I would actually move into. I have multiple set up, between city planning and being an electrician or a plumber. I already know who I would work for. And so it's the contingency plans are good. They're so good that I could potentially have a better life than I currently do. And I sometimes I look over and I'm yeah, that'd be nice. That's a pretty cool, I'd be making such good money doing this plumbing, electrical, well drilling gig that I've got somebody currently talking to me about. But these things are all I always tell them, well, I'm really happy with what I'm doing right now. Let's keep talking about it maybe in a couple of years or something. But I like to do that because then it makes me feel more free in doing Theory Underground, because it's like, no, I'm only doing this because I want to. And the moment some motherfucker tries to ruin that, I'm out. You all can have fun doing whatever you want, but I'm out. And so like it is, but it's like, no, I almost feel like I can turn anything into a game, like an achievement game. You know what I mean? Like I'd be able to transpose my hyperachievement stuff in relation to everything I'm doing with Theory Underground into any other domain. I'm pretty sure.
Right. So there's something kind of a part of you that makes these things come out and express themselves in some way. And for that reason, when I took this test and I saw the results, like I could see, getting into psychoanalysis, I could see how these archetypes here kind of could relate to the unconscious and past traumas and experiences that may have shaped the way my unconscious kind of works and interprets things. So my results were, I had a very high, I was super high, like 8 point something in hyper rational. And I was basically low in everything else. I think my highest second ones were like 4 or something. Maybe it was pleaser. But yeah, so hyper rational was basically my blunt tool. I use that tool for everything. And just my experience with the analyst I have now, it's like a lot of that comes back to, my mom dying at age 7. And my dad, sometimes, not being able to handle 2 rambunctious fighting boys all the time, and he would freak out and he would kind of lose his cool. And so I basically internalized that I was just going to stay calm and rational and appear to be smart and have good arguments and you use that tool basically for almost in every situation. And it does help in a lot of situations, being rational and calm, and when things go awry. But in relationships, specifically with friends or a girlfriend, if you start using that tool when your girlfriend is complaining about something or starting a fight about something, and you're in my response is to just sit there and break down why she's wrong about things, that's not going to get me anywhere. That's going to be like, yes, that. So I'm listening to the things she's saying instead of what she's trying to communicate. She's upset about something. She feels unloved or whatever it is. Whereas I'm just like, okay, well, you're wrong about this because, look at this time. And actually, if we trace back these steps, no, bad. You're not going to get anywhere doing that. So, so I found that this is it could be a cool way you could use this as like a platform to jump off and maybe dig into the unconscious and the things in your life that help build the way your unconscious works now.
Yeah, well, it's really easy to psychoanalyze myself on this one. It's like, yeah, I didn't get a lot of opportunities to achieve. I didn't really have the ability to achieve growing up. I didn't have the institutional framework that makes achievement possible, and I didn't have the personal tools to do it on my own. So there's that. But and it's like, so yeah, I'm compensating in a sense by doing it now, but and I didn't really have the ability to control my own life. And so like both the achievement and the control, like both are, ways of compensating for the fact that I'd never had those tools and I didn't really have those supports and blah, 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 blah. I think one of the more interesting things about the unconscious in relation to all of this stuff is how, the Lacanian unconscious is not like the Freudian unconscious. It's not like this well of repressed feelings and thoughts that are like, like this dark, almost Jungian shadow self, like down there or whatever, or like the id, or it's like a roiling pit of, canine energy, or, like crazy abused dogs down there or something. No, it's not. That's like the Freudian unconscious, or at least how it's popularly understood. But like for Lacan, it's just on the surface of things, and it's like semiotic. It's not. It's only kind of hidden in the sense that you can't see it directly, but like your analysts can usually see it. And then Mikey and I both think that you can actually see more of it than Lacan perhaps lets on, by just being philosophical and actually doing, having critical discussions with critical people, surrounding yourself with critical people who will point things out, and then also hystericizing yourself to some degree. So like, yeah, we actually can live the examined life more than Lacan thinks. But of course, he's talking about middle-class Parisians who aren't philosophers. So, that's who he's dealing with. But anyway, getting to the whole thing about, our unconscious is on the surface of things. I've been thinking a lot about this idea. Like we have like our unconscious that kicks into gear in a specific way when we go on a hike or get out in nature. Like it rewilds, and it's aware of like the millions of species, organisms that like we're not aware of at a conscious level. That's also
interrupt you real quick.
You're getting in on your phone.
I have to leave, so I'm gonna add my phone to this conversation, and then so just make sure to add me, and then I'm gonna leave the desktop here.
All right, man.
Okay, but keep going.
Yeah, I feel bad going over time here. We could close out. This is all shit that is kind of extra, You could just say some closing thoughts, and we can move on to the next thing. I don't even remember what the next thing is, but
The Spanish at 3:15 our time.
oh, okay, good. We have a break between things. All right. Well, okay. Well, I'll finish it just by just saying that for me, the interesting question about the unconscious is how the unconscious is not just on the surface of things, but like there's no such thing as things if you're thinking in a sort of structural way. There's referential totalities of equipment and signification, and like the Heideggerian sense from being in time. And so there's the background conditions of whatever we focus on, the background conditions of intelligibility, and then there's like what we actually focus on. And in a lot of cases, the things that we focus on are ways of escaping from those background conditions of intelligibility, because those background conditions of intelligibility are capital. And so a lot of our shit is escapism from that sort of subjugation of our time energy to labor power, right? And so this is like Byung-Chul Han comes in with like the achievement subject. It's like, yeah, I'm like this hyper achievement subject. And Byung-Chul Han would be like, yeah, well, you should like go stare at dew on the grass blades and fucking jack off in haikus and, breathe deeply and, be present or whatever. I don't give a shit. I just don't even think it's valuable. I don't fucking care. It's like, I do want to be able to do philosophy in a non-instrumentalized way, but we live in a hyper-instrumentalized world, and the only way to create a space within which we are able to do anything close to liberal arts work is through extreme counter-instrumentalization that counters the actual instrumentalization of capital. and the achievement society that we live in. So the only way to counter being made achievement slaves or addicts or junkies or whatever is by kind of just like taking on our own achievement regimes that are not reducible to a profit motive, not reducible to any of the sort of institutionalized ends that we're supposed to be putting our energies towards. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the only thing left to talk about is if you guys have like more elaborate critiques on not just this, like these tests or these assessments, but this kind of stuff in general.
Dude, I think there's so many problems with this type of stuff, this Myers-Briggs type stuff. And it becomes so problematic. From my perspective, this stuff is just an Enneagram or just a horoscope. And I think that's treating it a little too harshly, because there is a lot of utility in this, dealing with people who don't have the time or the resources or whatever it is that they need, that they haven't thought about anything deeply ever. So taking this stuff to the motherfucker who's working his ass off or her ass off or their ass off, and they're just like desperate for something more. I actually think there's a lot of value in this shit. And then once you're kind of like initiated into the pursuit of your own humanhood, then you can kind of problematize it and you can pick it apart. But like there are a lot of leftists who just shit on this stuff constantly, this type of thing, whatever. And I don't know. It's like, hey man, like we can do that, but we are in a sense in our own ivory tower, right? It's just not ivory. It's built of whatever the fuck we've made it out of. So while it is very problematic in multiple ways, I think it is also really useful. And I love that, like you're coming at all this shit from a realist perspective. And I love that shit. And I think that we all need to be realists about many, many things. And I love it.
Yeah. I have huge problems with a lot of the assumptions that go into the framing of the questions. And then I'm irritated by not knowing really how much deliberation ultimately did go into it. But I'll use one example. Framing things as people pleasing or being a pleaser is very different from framing it as being agreeable. And being agreeable is a virtue, and being a pleaser is a vice. These are very different things, but in a lot of cases, it's the same fucking thing. We need agreeable people, and then women score higher on agreeableness in general. Hetero-cis women are generally agreeable, and then people go, oh, it's socialization. Well, it's not necessarily socialization. I can tell you what is socialization. It is Western American socialization that turns women being agreeable into a vice and then makes them feel guilty for it. That's socialization, guaranteed, because that's taught through the schooling system today. It's taught by progressive education. It's made into like this, oh, that's bad thing. Is it bad? Why is it bad? Because like it doesn't make good individualist girl bosses? Fuck you. So I just get pissed off by like that shit. It's like, oh, you should feel bad because you're agreeable. That doesn't mean that a person who's agreeable can't stand up for themselves. It just means that they don't stand up for themselves on things that don't fucking matter. It means that they're more measured. It means that they're able to kind of like discern a little bit more than a person who is like a person who's like super not agreeable is a contrarian and like turns things into problems that aren't problems, right? And then even then, agreeableness is a fucking problem too. because it's developed by Jung and it's part of the Big Five or the 16 personalities or Ocean or whatever. And yeah, I've got a problem with like how archetype shit naturalizes character dispositions, but character dispositions aren't who you are. It's part of what you have to deal with. And it can work to your advantage in some situations and it can work against you in other situations. But it's bullshit to naturalize your predisposition, which is to kind of tell you, oh, you kind of lean this direction, so that's who you are. As opposed to like a virtue ethics approach, like Aristotle would say, yeah, actually, the way that you're predisposed is towards, let's just say being more brash or more cowardly. Like, okay, it's going to go one way or the other way. Neither of those is a virtue. Okay, but contemporary personality shit would tell you that's who you are. Aristotle would say that's what you have to deal with. But courage is in the mean on the opposite side from where you're predisposed towards. So if your predisposition is towards being brash, the virtue is for you to lean into like laying off a bit and letting other people fuck up and just kind of like, yeah, you let them do that and you develop some tolerance. And you don't always take a stand on things because you're brash. You need to fucking rein it in. So courage means not always asserting yourself. Whereas for the cowardly disposed person, it's like you can actually do something that appears brash if it was done by a person who's disposed to be brash. But when you're doing it, no, you're actually practicing courage because you're going against your grain. And so, yeah, they tell you that you are your grain. Like these tests say, no, you are your grain. That's who you are. And it just makes me, it just drives me crazy because people are like, my kid has ADHD and is this type on the Myers-Briggs. And that's why they're this way. And that's why they can't go to libraries. Straight up. I've had these conversations in the last year and it's like, fuck you guys. But outside of that, I do think that these are a lot of fun and I love the conversation. So
just one thing here, a little correction so this test in particular is again, a part of a whole system, the positive intelligence thing. Now, as cringy as a lot of it is, the point of it is not to naturalize it or to essentialize these traits. It's actually the opposite. The whole thing with this program is that they're saying, well, these are not you, these are your masks that you put on or the tools you use, and that but it takes you in the wrong direction, saying you actually have a true self that we need to get back to and define, but that these masks you put on, these tools that you've started to use and get good at, these are getting in the way of your true self. So it's problematic, but in a different way.
Damn. Okay. Good to know. And in fact, that would have been good to know. I think I didn't really know that.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that at the beginning, I think.
And I think it looks like you went to your phone. You called in. Do you have any closing thoughts? I want everyone who's not really talked recently to share some closing thoughts, and then we'll GTFO.
Yeah, I think that works. Are you able to also change my name on there? Like, is my phone number just for everyone to see right now?
I can't see it.
I don't like that. I don't care if you guys have my phone number.
Good call. It was showing your phone number, which means that I'll have to edit this before I put it out. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, it's fine for now. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, this stuff is like, it's insightful, but it is also, trying to avoid like totalizing yourself and just saying, well, I'm just this, well, I'm just that. These are my failures. And so it's nice to, I think we said this at the beginning, but it's nice to have this type of conversation with people who are like actually critical of this also, and who can think deeply and theoretically about all of this stuff.
I don't know. I'm starting to fall apart here. I'm not feeling well, so I'm kind of checking out for a bit.
Caesar asked Eamon, how has this been received in your practice?
So far, pretty well. I tried it on a few clients who, some of them were like, surprised by, they're like, oh yeah, that's like, I've never thought about it that way. That's totally right. And I gave them some tools, some therapism tools to kind of like understand it and think about it and use it to their advantage. And others were like, yeah, I kind of already knew this a bit about myself. Maybe these were people that had a bit more introspective or a bit more exploratory of their own psyche. But so far, it has been positive, and I haven't really. I'm just getting started on kind of in trying to incorporate this stuff in a way that I think will actually be meaningful. Like, I don't want to just use it as like, if I'm going to use it, I don't want to just use it in a very surface level way, where we do the test and then just talk about it for a bit and then move on. I'd like to use it as a springboard to kind of see potential obstacles moving forward and maybe open up the some recognition into the what's going on in the unconscious, so that the fitness journey can be made easier, I guess.
And then could you elaborate on what you meant by this goes wrong with there's an essential you that we just need to get back to? And I'm curious, like, how you would, the difference between how you would talk about that with us as opposed to how you might get at that with your standard clientele.
Yeah, so there's like a 6-week course that you take and a book. It's an audio book that you're supposed to kind of follow along with in for this life coaching program. And so when I went through it, that wasn't clear at the beginning, but by weeks, like, I don't know, 3 or 4, then they started getting into this true self stuff. And they would have you would do an exercise where you look in the mirror. No, sorry, you would find a picture of yourself before you had been wrecked or ruined by society, before your sadness, before your anxiety, before your hyper rational, whatever. Find a picture of your happy true self as a child, and really try to reconnect with that being, and realize that's the person you really are, and that all this stuff you're doing outside of it is just kind of fake, and it's walls you put up, it's masks you put on, it's tools that you're using.
My God.
Yeah. So that's I brought it up actually in one of our weekly classes that I thought that was silly, and that I didn't agree with the need to turn it into a problem of getting back to the true self, because there is no true self, because we're split subjects, and these are just these saboteurs. They're not. You shouldn't think of them as things that are departures from yourself, your true self. That really, they're just, again, like coping mechanisms or ways of being that you've learned through your life to kind of avoid maybe your traumas or whatever is going on in your unconscious, or to just to navigate your unconscious and your world. But that's all, like, none of it's outside of you. None of it's like different than your true self or your core, or what you are.
I wish Nance had not been muted, because he laughed so hard and so long at the when you were talking about this.
Well, Nance, what are your thoughts?
I just like, I don't know, man. I wish there was like a happy little boy in me to connect with. Like, I would give anything. Yeah. I truly would, but the world doesn't work that way. But it is, I mean, it is compelling, and yeah, it makes sense why people kind of cling on to that shit. And then like, I always kind of like whenever talking about all of this stuff, like I always want to jump to the people's defense. Like I always want to be like, well, no, like we shouldn't, like, just because we know it's wrong, we shouldn't like laugh at them. Because it does feel very mean spirited, because like these people are largely just being taken advantage of by dickheads on Instagram who are trying to push their book about how to be the coolest motherfucker ever, or whatever they're pushing. And it sucks, dude, because no, like I've been there, like I've been down in the dumps and shit, and like, yeah, we all just kind of need whatever it is we need, and we need to find a place that I think is probably safe to say that it's necessarily in concert with others, if not in communion with others, and blah, 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 all that stuff. It just, I don't know, it's a really, there's a lot of eggshells in this space. And I'm stoked about what you're doing, man. I wish there were more people that were genuinely like interested in actually like helping people fucking what do they say? Not increase or maximize. I don't know, just help themselves be better at what they're doing.
I think this has been one of my favorite. It's a lot of fun. So glad we did it. I think we should probably make it public so that people know we're doing awesome shit here, because a lot of people saw the lecture that you gave for the dialectics of health and fitness, or they read your submission to Underground Theory. And so I just thought, yeah, like this is the kind of stuff that we're doing. And we do it every Thursday at this time, which, what is the time that we do this at?
$1:00 Eastern.
Yeah, 1:00 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, aka LA, which is 1900 in Berlin, Paris, everywhere else. So I mean, listen to my European fellow travelers, and there's many of you. This is not outside of your time zone, and you all probably have perfectly healthy lives because all you guys eat is like granola or whatever. But come on, get involved.
They're not Americans, so they have healthier diets.
Yeah, except that they're fucking sausages for breakfast or hot dogs. So come on.
And beans. Who the fuck eats beans for breakfast, dude? What are you doing?
Ants like beans?
No bueno.
So I don't have to.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, question, I guess, before we go. So I got some garlic and some ginger, and I've been kind of eating it half the week. But what is your advice for trying to squash a cold as it's coming on? Because it's coming on.
It's too, well, I mean, if you look up like those like grandma's cold fighting recipes, they're all going to be like cinnamon, honey, garlic, ginger, and like a couple other, like maybe turmeric or something, a couple other ingredients. But for me, I've been including turmeric too, but literally just raw garlic and ginger, a teaspoon each will do the trick. I've been doing it every day, and I swear to God, I have like felt like probably 3 or 4 colds come on, like start like in the past 6 months or so, and they never developed into anything. And there's one this week. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to get sick or I'm not. Right now I feel fine, but I've been feeling one coming on, and I've been taking the ginger and garlic, and so far it's been defeated. So far it hasn't really got me. So yeah, the minced stuff, the minced raw garlic, minced raw ginger, just 1 teaspoon a day. Mix it into your whatever other food you got.
Sweet. We're going to go do that. I guess I should probably be doing it preemptively immediately as well. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you at the next one. Swol, thank you as always. Take care, man.
See you guys.
Peace.
Thinking is super uncool, and that's why you should do it. It's just like almost anything that's like cool anymore. Yeah, it just sucks. And I think that's like what the underground movement has always been about, is just like seeing what's in the mainstream, being like, it ain't there, and kind of like cobbling something together, you know? And yeah, it's a little mismatched, but that's like its beauty.
We cannot do direct revolution, but the only way to lay the foundation for it is to do what you are doing to move the underground. It's a theoretically correct title.
Welcome to Theory Underground, where workers with earbuds can find genuine liberation from necessity.
Research at Theory Underground focuses on what is most important for understanding our current situation. Theory of the subject, capital, time-energy theory, critical media theory, CMT, and the most essential critiques necessary for understanding why the theory, ideology, and common sense of influencers left to right misses the mark.
We bring primary texts from leading lights of diverse fields to bear on topical issues and works popular in our current world. Theory Underground is a publishing house as well as lecture course and social media platform. You've been reading Underground Theory.
Yes.
And
amazing book. I'm a publisher and an editor. I run and review books. Literally, it's my living. This is the best edited collection I've ever read.
Jesus Christ.
Seriously.
This is a little experiment in what I, David McKerracher, can pull off without relying on the academy or the algorithmic dictates of the attention economy.
Usually a good edited collection has good essays, but you only want to read a few. Every essay makes me want to read the other essays because you have a vision. Everyone that you invited for a reason. You weren't some fake publicist. It's like, how's so-and-so's a new book? Have them on your show. No, you only talk to people because you've read shit by them that you've thought about, that you think has value, even if you disagree. So I think that's what's amazing.
I believe that I am, like so many others, pioneering a future in which educators can form learning webs that will make learning as a way of life enjoyable and emancipatory. However, before these tools become accessible, they have to be experimented with. That's why I built my own website and app using nothing more than my own saved wages, 5 patrons, and some small classes of students over the last year. Of course, I also have had my wife Anne's moral support and help with accounting so that I don't get in trouble with the IRS or whatever. In less than a year, Theory Underground has already put out 8 courses, 2 books, one, my book, Timenergy, and the other, Underground Theory, which has over 30 contributors, including works written by students at Theory Underground, some of my fellow travelers, and colleagues in the broader universe of Underground Theory. Beyond the books and courses, though, you will also find interviews, reading exegetical reaction sessions, and live weekly events for working-class autodidacts, independent researchers, and renegade academics. These include a variety of clubs and cohorts that meet on a weekly or monthly basis. If you want to get involved, there are 4 main subscription levels.
Think of it like a gym membership, but for your mind.
The point is to make learning, practice, and theoretical comprehension a way of life. Support at this stage of the operation is more crucial than ever because my savings were used up over the last year of getting this established. If I can triple my subscribers in the next 2 months, I can quit my gig at Amazon and focus on this work full time. All I need is a few more people at each of the levels, or a couple big time patrons who just want to see it happen. Right now I am doing a patron and site subscriber drive, so excuse the commercial. But if you end up really liking what goes on at this channel, consider signing up soon. If you cannot afford it, but want to get involved with some of the stuff behind the paywall, I have made a financial aid scholarship you can sign up for here in the description. Quick side note, some people ask about the profit motive. At this point, I have not actually made a return on any of my investment in terms of the amount of time, energy that I put into things, the amount of savings I've actually put into things, the opportunity cost of the work that I'm doing as opposed to the other kinds of things that I could be doing for money. But more importantly, I don't actually make enough to pay for my cost of living. The goal is to make enough for my cost of living, and then once that is achieved, everything over that amount is going to go towards expanding the operation to the point where I can hire Michael Downs, aka Mikey of The Dangerous Maybe, to be a full-time researcher and part-time teacher at Theory Underground. All right, so with that aside, I just want to say also, if you are a worker with earbuds, what's up? I see you. I work at Amazon part-time, and everything I do is for my past self who used to work there full-time. Most workers with earbuds couldn't care less about theory, but I do believe a working class intellectual revolution could grow out of the underground theory scene. My hope is that what I have built here will contribute to making the scene something more than just a scene, and you into something more than just a scene kid. We're trying to make this into a real intellectual milieu capable of leading a way forward beyond the imminent crises facing humanity. But for that, we need thinking now more than ever.
Start thinking.
I hope that you either will or have enjoyed the program, and also make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and leave this playing in the background all the time while you're doing other things.
Playing long-form Theory Underground content in the background while you do things has, in the near future, been scientifically proven to emancipate minds from the functional illiteracy imposed on workers by the structural stultification of time energy. This is achieved by reterritorializing circumspective concern.
Also, to some degree, it is for the algorithm.
Think of it like a gym membership, but for your mind!
I love you so much.
I love you too.